We cooked boiled lobster.
Wow,
I
that's
still remember
nice.
that,
Yeah, and I'll be
First time I'd ever had lobster.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it was
I just want to I'm going to read a lot of his poetry and I want to do a little refresh on his biography. So when he was a really young man, he was an astounding poet, right? And part of the biography, he enters the University of Utah, Salt Lake City in the fall of 1951. Curriculum includes courses in philosophy, English, American literature, creative writing, French, and music. Worked in the university philosophy department as an assistant during the school months. Worked and traveled in the northwest states during summer months. That's a big part. And of the poetry we're going to hear, and graduated with honors in spring of 1953, receiving a bachelor's degree in arts, philosophy, and English minor. Received a scholarship in poetry to the Midwest Writers Conference for the summer of 1953. And then he was hospitalized with infectious hepatitis.
What did he do in the Southwest, you said?
No, he was in the Northwest, and during the summers while he was in college, he was working in canneries and exploring the coast, living on the coast
really?
up there. Yeah, 1954, employed as a contest judge for some prestigious poetry thing, and then he was drafted into the U.S. Army the fall of 1954. Luckily, he was assigned to Camp Kobe in Japan, January 1955.
Was this the Korean War?
It's after the Korean War. Yeah, and
During the Japanese, still
After World War II.
it's Japan is still in reconstruction, right?
occupation.
Right. He parted ways with the Army a year and a half after that, and 1957 returned, worked in New York doing research copywriting, and
I bet he loved
right.
copywriting.
And then he entered the University of Chicago, fall of 57, completed 2 years of study in American cultural history. Curriculum included courses in American history, philosophy, literary criticism, German and American literature, and received the John Billings Fisk Poetry Prize for the year of 1959. And
What was
then
that?
it was some prestigious poetry prize.
For being good at poetry.
Yeah.
Oh, he had
Yeah.
his poetry.
Yeah, right.
Really?
And then he was employed at King Publications in San Francisco from the summer of starting in the summer of 1959 as assistant publisher of Western Construction magazine. So he was already on the Zen trail, right?
Oh, goodness.
And did that until he went to Japan
Where
in
did
the spring
he
of
study
1962.
architecture?
Oh, he didn't. He's
Japan.
self-taught.
Oh,
yeah,
he's self-taught.
Yeah, he's self-taught that. Anyway, that's just, I'm reading that because he wrote that himself, right? And it only goes up to the trip to Japan. And
Life started in Japan.
life starts in Japan. But it turns out he had an amazing life as a young man. I just want to give him the last word on some of this. I'm just going to read a number of poems, okay? So, this one is called, I think most of this is this is 1954. Voice in the tide. Here on the headlands between the thunder and the infinite echo, wearing your silver sandals, run to me, out of the wine of morning, out of the lithe sea, mouth to mouth, we will lie, feeling the land turning, watching the seaweed and the sand, the wave green mist and the spray, the supple surf fingers of foam will explore us till the long bow is drawn and its arrow stills the voice in the tide. Love, discover us here in the headlands, between the thunder and the infinite echo, till the long bow is drawn and its arrow stills, the voice in the tide, the supple surf fingers of foam will explore us, watching the seaweed and sand, the wave green mist and the spray. Mouth to mouth we will lie, feeling the sand turning into the wine of morning, into the lithe sea. Wearing your silver sandals, run from me. And that was 54. I think we'll get, here's something that was published in fall of 1952. Find the thin grasses, see how they bend and lean with the winds and grow over rocks. Feel the solid, desperate wind that bounces, leaps off the tops of smooth clay hills. The scrapes and scrapes a string of burnt red sumac leaves from sun-curled heaps to hide them in the dry white sky. 3. Sketch a vacant rusted bridge in the dust and bronze with thin violin songs straining through the tired underskeletons. 4. Track a carved white sand curve down where the willows die and slip their orchard leaves into green water pools. Kneel softly near dry marsh weed where a splintered hawk wing tip in vicious crimson flutters bits across the white sand. 5. Wait in heavy breathing woods after dust winds pass, when cherry evening slices through the hickories. And I actually read that version. He's got a lot of different versions of these things, and he inserted what he thought was the correct version rather than the one in this publication, right? But a few more, I think we'll get up to, I think this is from 1954. Discovery, 2 poems. 1. Sun-spiked, pinched in 2 fingers of a hill, I am dazed, like a prophet in the cauldron of God's sudden shadow. 2. With Indian feet of moss, I discovered the prophet bird in the regal center of a wood and was astonished at his youth. And let's get up to this one's called Prophecy, and it's in 3 sections: sign, eclipse, judgment. Sign. The grass is royal red this spring, which means the summer will be long as the proverbial nose of Saint Jesus. Eclipse. Bleak as an eye, the moon-mothered owl of town circles her wounded water clock, crying, Alice is Alice is Alice. Judgment. In the hot fields, the girls are hot with weeping. In the city of boredom, 3 horses chuckle to themselves for having died in time. All right.
Oh, that's really beautiful.
Yeah. Here's one called Revolution. It came as the signs foretold. The warlike voice of God blistered the ripe earth, and birds fell from the windows, too dead to sing. The rich were exalted. their fragile heads on a pole. The poor turned out in caps, red as hearts, and the rabble stripped a poet of his nerve. This one's called Dirge. The mouth of morning strains a heart split on the ground, bright as mercury and blood, trampling in its jaw birds of the ruined field, all the while praying as a panicked priest in moods of hosanna and somehow shame. Broken, the neck of the world in games that proved much too gorgeous to be played by murderous candlelight. Watching the pale river in its ghastly cargo, the wind at my throat, like starved birds with huge hot beaks. Every muscle is wood. My one eye howls at the desolate city and grins fear. The poor world, I want to say, besides being the dismal residence now of goats and a madman, has lost heart in the whole affair and is a sexless coward. Whoa. I know we're coming out of the closet a little bit here, and once again, this is all, I think, poetry he wrote before being drafted. Shashin, fire opal, fire-like reflections in the murky light, memories like fish lured foolishly to the soft snowflake fall in the lotus pool. Dreams, curiosity, to be tricked, amused, the art of dying before you die, the shape of gravity, the sound of compassion, the color of joy, aesthetic chalky moonlight, waves gently stroking the translucent sea kelp. We have never left our destination. And what else we got here? Oh yeah, thanks. This is in 4 tiny parts. 1. Months drift by, days pile up, like one intoxicated dream, an old man rejoices. 2. Drifting east, drifting west, the Buddhist law, trust yourself to the waves. 3. Our bodies are dumped out and rot away. The fruit of the Buddhist law does not decay. 4. Just a straw hat and a raincoat. Still, the scarecrow does his job. Okay, getting here. This one's called Jug Wine. Drunk, stumbling, yet in drinking I show the utmost discretion. Where will I end up this evening? Somewhere down along the riverbank, grasping for the moon. And I don't actually have poetry of his from Kyoto, and I thought it might be nice to read one poem of his good friend Gary Snyder, who he lived with and corresponded with through his life. Gary went on to win the Pulitzer Prize, and he's a well-known guy. And so, I think Gary wrote this the last year they were studying together there, 1967. This is in a book called Regarding Wave. This is in a section called Long Hair. This is a picture of Gary and his wife and their son. And this poem was a nice summary of how all this upbeat sensibility entered the 1960s, I think. But Ken loved this stuff. He actually gave me a copy of this book at one point. Revolution in the revolution, in the revolution. The country surrounds the city. The backcountry surrounds the country. From masses to masses, the most revolutionary consciousness is to be found among the most ruthlessly exploited classes: animals, trees, water, air, grasses. We must pass through the stage of the dictatorship of the unconscious before we can hope for the withering away of states, and finally arrive at true communionism. If the capitalists and imperialists are the exploiters, the masses are the worker and the party is the communist. If civilization is the exploiter, the masses is nature and the party is the poets. If abstract rational intellect is the exploiter, the masses is the unconscious and the party is in the yogins. And power comes out of the seed syllables of mantras. Let's do a little silence. I'm just going to chant the simplest of sutras, and then we can speak if we'd like to speak. Well, other than the thought that it turns out I could have called you all from right here. Shall we spread the ashes back here? Is that time for that? All right.
I'll open up this bag.
I know you like the Holy Sutra.
Hey, honey. Oh, there's a devil of a plastic tie around it. You're just going to go in the side?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I can do that. Yep. There's a little piece of paper inside the ashes that I'm just seeing what it is. Cremated remains of Kenneth Walden.
Mm-hmm.
What was Kenny's middle name?
Okay.
There you go.
Hey.
Do people want to just scoop it up and we kind of throw it that way? We can all do that.
You take turns.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Ken.
Oh, Ferlinghetti. The poet was Ferlinghetti.
That's right. Yeah.
He just died about a month ago.
Italian, actually, rather than Jewish.
Brett, you want to toss any ashes? Yeah.
Oh, that's all right. When I stayed with Teddy, he had a whole bunch of Japanese. I was at the stamp collecting. He gave you a whole big thing of Q-tip box, a big Q-tip box filled with Japanese stamps
That's so
he
cool.
had made when we stayed with him.
That's
They
so
were
cool.
really beautiful stamps.
I bet they were.
Japanese stamps.
Would you like to? Kenny! Kenny! I'm gonna. Yeah, for my Japanese yoga. Okay. Got the camera here, so. Thank you very much. Yep.
Is that enough?
Yeah, yeah. You can just take the bag out if you want. Yeah. You want to put a sunflower out?
Oh, sure.
Just a little bit there.
Well, in
Love you,
memory of
Ken.
Teddy.
We love you, Kenny. Maybe you'll finally get the piece
silence of the hands? Alright.
Okay, boy.
So, Carolyn, we know you're with us in this little adventure, and just want to let you know that all of us felt like you were with us today. So,
I would like to say one thing.
okay, please.
One little thing, which is that I, in the past few days, have come to know Kenny even a little better than I had before, and I am deeply impressed, and always have been, by the person he is, and I would like to think that some of his spiritual lineage lives on in me, and that I can carry some of what was meaningful to him forward in my own life. And he is beloved and a dear man. And Ken, I will miss your calm and observant presence in my life.
I'm going to miss the precision. He was very deliberate. When he did things, he did them right. It's a model for all of us.
I'll say a few words. I'm glad to be here with my family, honoring Ken Walden, and I always loved Kenny. He was like my dad, but he seemed somehow nicer and more gentle, and he was physically so much like Bill. So I had this real attraction to Kenny because he just seemed like a nicer Bill. But I know that Ken had his own, I'm sure he had his own flaws and struggles, as we all do, but I shared a love of beauty and a love of nature and gardens. I feel close to Ken because he also had that love, and I have so much respect for what I've done for him and all the things that he loved and collected and recorded and wrote, and many of these things I've just only seen in the last 2 days while we were looking at Kenny's belongings. And what an amazing man. I'm honored to be related to him, and I hope that if there is something out there beyond this physical plane, that Ken continues the pursuit of what he loves and what is important to him. And may you rest in peace, Ken. I love you.
I just want to say my fondest childhood memories were staying with Uncle Kenny in the cabin that he built in Maine, and we all had lobster, and I just remember the memories of Maine and walking on the beach and finding old fishing buoys or whatever, the fishing floats. Anyway, just memories of Uncle Kenny.
Very good. Very nice. It's done.